Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our J Power family members. This is Vivian going live from Sydney, Australia again. Sorry, we are a few minutes late today, but it's okay because we have someone very, very important coming up to you today. So, for those of you who have been joining our interview session for the previous few weeks, thank you so much, and I trust you got some value out of it. So today, instead of me hosting this interview session, so we are so delighted that we have Sally coming up to you to become the co-host for today. So let me bring Sally up first before I go any further. Hey, Sal, how are you?
Morning. How are we?
Yeah, we're all good here. Thank you so much for co-host with me, or else every week I'm the only one. I feel very bored myself.
You're
So
welcome.
yeah, Sally, I will leave the rest of the session um, with you, and then I let you introduce and guide the rest of the session. Okay, so I move myself to the background, and then I'll let you have the show for today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Viv. Today we're very fortunate and I'm very grateful to have Keely on the panel today. Keely's based in Adelaide and runs her own successful business in Adelaide. She's a mother of three young, gorgeous children. She's the founder of a large online community, the Zen Life. When I first met Keely, the one thing that stood out for me was her passion for Zen and her willingness to help as many people as possible. She's part of the Zen movement and she educates people on how they can achieve goals by eating protein, fat, and carb every 3 hours. She's one of the most down to earth individuals I've ever met, and she's a role model for so many of us. I know that, when I've got a question, I always reach out to her. She's like my mentor and my friend, and just extremely grateful that she agreed to do the interview today. So welcome, Keely.
So much, Sally. Oh, hello. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Vivian. Thanks, Sally. That was a lovely intro.
Thanks, Keely. How are things in Adelaide?
Good. It's actually raining and cold, but that's okay. It is winter here in Adelaide, so no, all good. All good here.
You survived isolation?
Yeah, 3 kids, as you know, Sally. We have that in common. And I didn't have it as hard as you in Melbourne because we didn't have to do the homeschooling as long here. We're a little bit lighter on in South Australia. Melbourne it was hard for you guys. So no, all good here. Very good.
Oh, fantastic. Keely, I thought it would be a great starting point if you're able to tell us a little bit about yourself, in particular your health journey and how you got involved in Zen.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is a health and PE teacher. So that's what I did before I had kids. But I probably spent most of my 20s really kind of doing a bit of a yo-yo diet. I've never been someone who's been really overweight. Oh, you can see there, that's just my husband and my 3 beautiful kids. I wasn't overweight, but I was always someone who was thinking I needed to lose 5 more kilos, or I was a little bit of a yo-yo dieter anyway. I wouldn't say in an extreme way. I didn't have any health issues or anything like that, but just always kind of wanting to lose that 5 kilos all the time, which seems really kind of silly now. It was probably more of a mindset thing. But when I had my children, I had the 3 kids really close together. And after I had Florence, my little one, I think she was probably 1, I just got to that point where I felt so exhausted, as a lot of mums do, and I needed to do something for myself. I'd pretty much had 3 kids in under 4 years, so I'd given a lot to everyone else, and I felt very depleted. My days consisted of being at home with the kids, which I loved, but I often would just skip meals, not eat until lunchtime, live on coffee, and just do whatever it took to get by. I'd eat a lot of the kids' leftovers all the time, and just, I was really happy in my life, but I wasn't really happy in myself and how I felt I just felt flat, low energy. And my husband would often just try and kind of push me out of bed in the morning and say, look, I've got to go to work. You need to get up now, because I just felt flat, like in my energy levels. So yeah, that's kind of, I've always been very active, very sporty. And I thought I had a good education about kind of health, but yeah, really having kids, as anyone listening would know, even if you know what to do, it kind of can throw a real spanner in the works because you don't have the time necessarily, and you've got the emotion of always having the kids to need you and not putting yourself first. So yeah, things really did change when I had kids.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's interesting you mentioned, you know, the whole yo-yo dieting. You know, there's so many diets on the market, and you hear people, you know, that fall in this vicious cycle of yo-yo dieting. Why do you believe that diets fail?
Well, I think Vivian's got a slide there if she wants to show that. That was my, we'll talk about that later. That's when I first did the Zen program, but she might pop it up, the yo-yo dieting cycle. Yeah, that one. So basically what happens, and this is what I kind of did a lot, is if you get to a point where you feel like, oh no, I've put on weight, my clothes don't fit anymore, I feel terrible, you might have been on a holiday, you've got no energy, whatever it is, everyone kind of has, you know, you can have a bit of a freak out and go, what, I've got to do something extreme. And that, because people feel, they kind of get to this point and they go, I've got to do it quick. I've got to get rid of this quick so I feel better. And so they cut out the carbohydrates completely, or they do some kind of extreme low calorie diet, 500 calories a day, or they do some kind of fasting or whatever. And then their blood sugars drop right down. They start feeling hungrier and hungrier. And they can manage to do that maybe for a week, a month, who knows. And then all of a sudden what starts to happen is, as they reintroduce the carbohydrates or start to try and eat more normally again, their insulin spikes, their blood sugar spikes, and then they end up wanting to eat more and probably put on a bit more weight in the long run anyway. And it just becomes a bit of a cycle with your mindset that you're desperate to get the weight off, so you do something extreme, but no one can sustain extreme things. So that's really what I think everyone wanting to just lose a few quick kilos here and there, or lose that 5 kilos, or do something extreme. That's why we're marketed a lot of things like that, because they do work in the short term. You can do anything to lose weight short term, but whether or not you can still be doing it in 6 months' time, that is another question. And that's what the yo-yo dieting kind of mindset is.
Thanks, Keely. And I guess that's the one thing I love about Zen, you know, it's not just for, you know, the 8-week, you know, period. It really is a lifestyle change, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the only reason why I wanted to do Zen. And then as I did the program myself, I could just see that it was a lot more than the Zen program. It was actually the education behind it to set you up going forward. And that's why I now spend my time working with this program, because it's, as a teacher and as an educator, and as, you know, I have people saying to me every day, like, I can't believe how much this has changed the way I look at food. And you don't get that when you go on a diet, because a diet just tells you what to do. It doesn't empower you and educate you.
Yeah, brilliant. And I love how it works in well with the family. You know, I follow you online and I see that, you know, you're not cooking 100 different meals, you know. It's so adaptable for your family and young children too.
Yeah, and you, like, that has to be a part of what you eat. Every parent knows that your kids can get really fussy at times, and it doesn't matter what you do and you know who you are, like, you all go through that. But it was big for me. I don't want to be on a diet every mealtime at the table and my kids see, oh, mum's not eating dinner tonight because she's doesn't eat dinner, or mum's having a lettuce leaf while we're having you know, something else. Like, I don't, because that your kids remember that, and they kind of remember that mum's always on a diet. I just don't want anything like that, to get through to my kids. I just want food to be a place where we can come together, and it's education, and they know what good choices are, and they know what sometimes foods are, and just make it a way of life for everyone.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Keely. So Zen's all about stabilising our blood sugar levels and eating protein and fat every 3 hours. A few weeks ago, Vivian interviewed the lovely Jess, and Jess spoke about how Zen has improved her PCOS and helped her balance her hormones. My question to you today, Keely, is can you talk us through the importance of balancing our blood sugar levels and the impact that has on our hormones?
Yeah, I actually recently did a discussion, a Q&A with Mark McDonald, who founded the Zen program with Janess, and we talked a lot about hormones, because this really is probably the number one topic that I get asked about, and why a lot of women are in my Zen community, and they want to know, because people are facing so many different kinds of hormonal issues. So we know Jess had shares her story, and I share that with people all the time about her PCOS, and then a lot of other people have thyroid hormone issues as well. That is probably the if not more common than PCOS, that a lot of people are on thyroid hormone replacement as well. But essentially, every bit of research that I've done around eating and women's hormones especially, and I mainly speak for women, is that if you stabilize your blood sugar levels in your body, then that just has a complete flow-on effect to every other hormone in your whole body. So if you are keeping your body in homeostasis, which is that middle zone, by eating your PFC and your protein, fat, and carbohydrate, then that just has a complete flow-on effect, because we know that all of our hormones they basically are controlled in our brain through our pituitary gland as well. And then that goes out and talks to all of the other hormones around our body, whether it's our ovaries, and we look at people with endometriosis, PCOS, whether it's our thyroid hormone, whether it's our adrenaline and our cortisol and our stress as well, which we'll probably talk about a bit later. But every expert is saying, if you balance your blood sugar levels and keep them stable, then that is going to create balance and homeostasis in your body and have a complete positive effect on every kind of hormone system, which is, I guess, your endocrine system in your whole body. So it's absolutely no wonder that Jess got such amazing results. And that is, I listened to a top hormone specialist, a podcast this week, and she talked about the number one thing in her protocol is blood sugar stabilization before anything when it comes to any kind of hormonal issues. You can heal yourself with food first before you have to then start looking at all of the other treatments and different things that are around. So yeah, it just confirms to me everything that I listen to, especially for women. I really focus on that is, where we are on the right track. Absolutely.
We certainly are on the money with Zen, aren't we, Keely?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
it definitely confirms it to me.
Oh, fantastic. So before I started Zen, I used to experience severe bloating. So my patterns, I think when I met you a few years ago at Crown at the conference, I just recently had my third child. And, like you mentioned at the beginning, it's all about survival when we're in that phase. So I think I was having about 5 cappuccinos a day. So no wonder I was experiencing severe bloat, full cream milk with those cappuccinos. And I guess my question to you is, how does Zen help with bloating?
Yeah, it's so interesting, because I think that's probably one of the number one reasons why people want to do Zen. Usually it's they want to lose a bit of weight, but the other one is stomach bloating, and feeling like just like they're not digesting food that well, or just feeling that really heavy feeling after a meal where they want to go and have a lie down, like maybe Christmas Day, but every day. And the one thing that changes with the bloating is, in the first week of the Zen program, we do what is called a detox week. And it's not detox in the form of anything extreme, which that word usually means cut out everything and just eat nothing. That's not what it means. It just means cut out inflammatory foods. So when you did the detox week, Sally, like you would have we just cut out a lot of the inflammatory foods that week, like dairy and gluten and all the different soft drinks and processed foods and a lot of salt, and we just give our body a real reset. And it's like almost an oil change for a car. Like when you can't kind of get everything working properly unless you just kind of flush out. And we use a product called Zen Prime, which is a digestive enzyme. And this is probably nearly one of the most number one products sold with Zen. If for anyone who's facing any kind of digestive and bloating challenges, they can take Zen Prime just before every meal to help them digest and break down their food, because a lot of people have challenges with that. And you don't have to be overweight or anything like that. I have a lot of customers who are, really like at an optimal weight, but they still face those kind of challenges as well. So I think the number one thing is cutting out. It just teaches you which foods cause bloating, like your 5 cappuccinos a day, that causes bloating. And even though you probably knew that deep down, you just were surviving and you do whatever it takes when you've got little kids. But once you kind of have the knowledge and you know what to do. And that's what the program really teaches. So it's not anything, too out there or scientific. It's just really simple stuff that makes complete sense. And if you implement it, it works.
It sure does, Keely. Like, I remember I go back to my pre-Zen days and, I'd often get asked, are you expecting a baby? And, at the times that I wasn't pregnant, I'm like, no. So, yeah, it was, that bloat that, was obvious, and even friends, could pick up on it. But now, fast forward a few years down the track, I feel better, I'm sleeping better, more energy, and I don't ever want to go back to that, old me where, you feel sluggish and tired and bloat, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that for you, that's really, that's another thing as well, because you're not someone who's overweight. So people don't think you need to do a Zen program. It's actually, you should never judge anyone on their appearance, or because you don't know how people feel. And that's a big one, like that would have been so, hurtful to you when people said that, because you might have been feeling so bloated and so terrible. But because you're not a big person, people just wouldn't ever associate you doing a program like Zen with that. But at the end of the day, like, you just want to feel amazing and you want to have education to know how to feel fantastic. So you're always someone who I use as my person who's not overweight, but the Zen pin-up girl for someone, like with challenges, maybe some digestive challenges like that as well. And there's a lot of people like that and like you as well.
Yeah. And it's funny how society, most women out there, it's all about the scales, isn't it? And getting into that size 10 and 8. And I can tell you, I'm there. If you don't feel well, there's no point being able to, fit into those ideal genes if you can't get out of bed.
Absolutely. And it's so true. I've coached a lot of women on this, and there's a real obsession with the scales, but a lot of it has to come down to as well that I know I'm never going to have your body shape and you're never going to have mine, and we need to just be okay with that too. Like, and it's about, what chapter of your health are you at right now as a mum of 3, and what do you want with your health right now? Is it more about the feeling and just so much energy and feeling vital, or is it about the scales and fitting into a size 8 jeans? Like, people really need to identify, what do you want with your health? Because it's very different if you're 21 to 30, or if you're trying to have children. Maybe your number one focus for some people is getting pregnant. That's a very different focus for your health than what you look like in a bikini. Or it may be your perimenopausal, and your what you do leading into your menopause with your health and stabilizing your blood sugars will affect how severe your symptoms are in menopause. Like, all of these, the research shows that. So depends where you're at and what you want. And you've really got to identify that, because everyone is so different. And the comparison is what really is probably killing us a lot, I think, in society now.
Yeah. You mentioned menopause. How has the program helped, anyone that is in that phase?
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of women in my community who are probably perimenopausal, so just before and then going through it as well. And they find that at this stage your metabolism starts to slow down. And if you've been able to maybe lose a bit of weight beforehand, now it gets a little bit harder. And also the stubborn belly fat is what people tend to find around, that they put on the weight, more around their stomach in these years. So actually, we've got so many women who have tried a lot of different things, but the stabilizing of blood sugars is having such amazing results with that belly fat. Not necessarily people losing huge amounts on the scales at that stage, but being able to shift the fat around the belly is what we're seeing. But also our product Zen Shape is a very popular product for that perimenopause and menopausal stage, and that's the tablets, because it's got some really great vitamins and minerals to help you balance your metabolism and help to give it a bit of a boost and a kickstart. So I feel like a lot of my customers, they never go without their Zen Shape, especially that age group.
Oh, fantastic. Talking about the products, Keely, Zen Fuse to me is such a powerful product. You know, I'm someone that struggles to physically eat every 3 hours. What I love about Fuse, it's quick and easy, and I'm not having to cook 6 different meals in a day. And I always feel so much more energized when I'm on Fuse. Can you talk us through why this product is so powerful?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the number one Zen product, which is sold all around the world, and probably very closely followed by Zen Prime for the digestive enzyme and those issues as well. And a lot of people can just take Zen Prime all the time as well. It's not something you have to not take at any time. But Zen Fuse is, I didn't realize, and that was my biggest I was skeptical, to be honest, about a protein shake. And I'm very honest about that, because I thought, oh, is this going to be a shake diet where I just have to live on shakes and don't eat? Because that's not something I wanted to do. Anyone can do that. There's plenty of meal replacement diets out there that you just drink shakes all day and then have 1 meal a day and you can lose weight. But that's a very calorie restriction based model. This is different because our Zen Fuse is specifically designed, and Mark has worked for 20 years. He's designed other protein shakes as well. So he's kind of used every bit of his skills and knowledge to get to this point. We know Jeunesse are like the absolute front runners in the top end of science. So he's kind of culminated with them at the perfect time in his career, because he's used all of his knowledge to create this shake, which has got your 21 grams of protein, it's got your 14 grams of carb, and your 3 grams of fat per 1 scoop. And what this does is it keeps your blood sugars balanced. So if you had this mid-morning, or if you had it in the afternoon, I have it on the school pickup run in the car, and it keeps my blood sugars balanced in between my meals, so that then when I go into my dinner at night, for example, I'm not absolutely ravenous, and I then can eat an appropriate portion size and I'm not just craving the carbohydrate. So my blood sugar hasn't dropped right down, so that then at dinner I just want to eat 3 times as much and just make it very carb heavy, essentially. So it's got a very, very strong purpose. So any kind of product you take, or any kind of, this is a food, any food you eat, you need to understand the purpose of it and what is this going to do for my body and how does it fit into the program. And the other, I think, really important part, it's gluten-free, it's soy protein-free, because that is a cheaper form of protein. If you go and have a look at a lot of other cheap shakes out there, you'll probably find the soy protein, which we know is not ideal when it comes to potentially mimicking estrogen in your body, which we don't want. And also it's got some probiotics. It's really family friendly for your kids. Every morning my son, without fail, has a smoothie for breakfast. I just use half a scoop for him because he's only 8. But he's a very active boy, and he only wants a big smoothie every morning. And I pack in bananas. I put a banana, frozen banana, wild blueberries. I put Brazil nuts, almond milk with a half a scoop of vanilla Zen Fuse. And it is just the most beautiful breakfast for him to just start his day. And his teachers thank me for it, because he started the day with a really good meal, as opposed to just eating Cocoa Pops or Nutri-Grain or, a piece of toast with honey. Like, it's not the best breakfast you can have if you want to start your day and use your brain well. So yeah, such a great product, and it's a grab and go product to fit into your lifestyle. It's not, you should never base your food around a product, but we need help. We live in 2020 now, Sally, where we're on the run and we need a hand. We're busier than ever. And this is just a great way to get that extra hit of protein in and keep your blood sugars balanced. So sorry, I hope I explained that well.
Oh, yes, you did. And it's interesting, every time someone, is new to the program, the first question I get is, oh no, I've had so many proteins in the past. I don't think I can do it. They don't taste nice. But the one thing, once they receive their delivery, their package is, gee, this actually tastes nice.
Oh, 100%. And that is, to be honest, a huge component of a protein shake actually selling. I've had so many women say this is the first bag of protein I've ever finished, because I've tried all of these other ones and they just sit in my cupboard. We've all been there with things that just stay in your cupboard. And that is because, as well, it does have some carbohydrate in it, and it's really important for people to know most like other proteins you'll get on the market are pure protein, so you can get like just a pure whey protein, and so when you go to taste that, it doesn't taste like Zen Fuse because it doesn't have the balance of the protein and the fat and the carbohydrate in it. So people often get scared by carbohydrates or sugar, but we know that our body uses glucose for fuel, so we need that. And so it's got a specific purpose, and it's just important to know, why it is that you're actually taking a protein shake and how your body's going to use it. So taste is number one. I'm a half chocolate, half vanilla, or chocolate on its own, but vanilla I use for all my smoothies. I just find that, and porridge. I find that the sweetness of vanilla is just amazing in something else. So my kids love vanilla.
Oh, thanks, Keely. Keely, you've created an amazing online community. How has sharing your Zen story helped others? So maybe Vivian, have Keely's before and after.
Yes. Oh, there's nothing like putting yourself on the internet for in your undies. Sorry, everyone. No. I think, the reason why I've been able to build a great online community is because I'm not trying to, be anything that I'm not. I just share my story and I share my life, and people just want to know that they can relate to you and your story. And I'm not trying to be perfect. My life's not perfect. It's busy. We all face challenges. And it doesn't always look like, life doesn't always look like an Instagram perfectly curated feed of stunning recipes and, my gorgeous life. And what I think the Zen life has become is just real life. And I mean, I'm very positive in there, don't get me wrong, but it's still real life. We share our ups and downs. We celebrate people. We pick them up when they are feeling flat. And so it's just it's a real life place for women. I mean, there are men in there too, but mainly women, to just feel like, yes, I can do this. I can achieve these meals. I get it. I can do a bit better with my health. And it's just a great place to tap into. And the other thing is I do have a lot of people in country areas in my community, because that's where a lot of my network is. And they don't have as many facilities and places to tap into as people in the cities, and gyms and things like that as well. And so they love the fact that they can get their protein delivered to their mailbox, because they can't just go down to the shop and buy protein either. So I would really suggest that as well is an excellent market for people interested, because so many of my country women want to do better and with their health, and they love the convenience of being able to order the product and be part of the community, because they are quite isolated compared to that's just a little tip as well that's worked really well for me.
And I think one thing that I love about your community is, Keely, you're authentic, you're real, and you always make sure that you're adding value in everything that you're posting. So I think that's great.
Yeah, thank you. I think people don't want to be, always just sold to buy this. Like, I just want people buy the product because they want to and they can see the value in it. So I think that's really the key to it as well.
Yeah. Can you talk us through the importance of eating well in terms of sleep and stress?
Yes, this is a really big one, especially right now, because, I'm sure everyone's feeling this. 2020 has been a really odd kind of year. And some people have really enjoyed elements of isolation and slowing down their life, and that's had a really good positive effect on them. But if you're someone who has had a really big hit financially, if you've really struggled with homeschooling your children and not getting a break, if you have really struggled with the worry around COVID-19 and your parents maybe, or you're worried about other people, like what this does is it affects, it makes us stressed. And I've really struggled personally with being isolated because I love people. I love going out and I need people. I don't like staying home all the time. So I didn't quite realize just how much that was making me feel flat as well. And what this does as well is it puts us in a bit of a state of anxiety, and also it can really up our cortisol and our just feeling frustrated, our stress levels, and also our adrenaline as well. We can't get to the gym and go and do our normal workout. I can't go to my yoga studio where I normally would have my time just to get downtime and just feel relaxed. So what that does is that it affects our stress levels and our hormones, which then can affect our sleep. If you've got a lot of problems you're lying in bed thinking about and stressing about, it affects your sleep. And you can have a look at the sleep cycle there. And what we know is that we need that level of deep sleep and we need that REM sleep as well. So if that is affected and you are not sleeping well, what happens is when you wake up in the morning, like when you would know, Sally, you've had little kids and you haven't had a wink of sleep all night, the last thing you want to eat is something healthy and balanced. What do you want as soon as you wake up if you've had a bad sleep?
Carbs.
Yeah.
I want that bacon roll. Yeah.
Yeah. And coffee straight away.
Yeah.
So everything is connected when it, like, I actually feel that stress right now is probably the most important thing to combat because it just flows on. And I know for myself, if I feel stressed, it affects everything, every relationship, every part of my sleep, and my health, because you don't want to make the best choices because you just don't feel yourself. So I would say this is number one right now for everyone, that if trying to do things to manage your stress right now in this weird 2020 is probably the number one thing, because then when you go into your Zen program, you're going to get such better results.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Keely, I remember meeting you at a Jeunesse conference a few years back, and I knew very little about Zen at the time, and I just assumed it was, a program only for those that wanted to lose weight. I must say that my Zen journey started that day. You were able to educate me on all the benefits of the program. I had recently obviously had Sienna, was, very low in energy. And I just want to say I'm so grateful for that one conversation because, it's turned my health around. And as a result of, being able to help so many family and friends. So thank you very much.
Oh, that is so nice to hear, because that makes it all worthwhile, because you don't know who's struggling, and you can't ever judge a book by its cover. And that's what I could look at you, Sally. Actually, the first time I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, that woman's so stylish. She must be from Melbourne, because everyone from Melbourne's kind of stylish, let's be honest. And everyone else as well. But no, and you don't know, I've had so many people reach out to me to do Zen, and I never ever would have thought that they were the people that needed it. And then other people who you think would want to do it, they might, like, I know people with diabetes that are, really overweight, have really poor lifestyle. They're not necessarily interested as much as other people who just feel that little bit off and they need to make some changes. Like, so you just can't judge a book by its cover. And this is a program for everyone. My kids, I do my best. Let's be honest, I'm not the perfect mother when it comes to providing like the food for my kids, but I just do my best because I know better now. And I think if everyone knows better and they can do a bit better for themselves to make themselves feel great, imagine the impact then you can have on your family and how everyone else feels. Yeah. And that's what's so powerful. You can't change anyone else until you make changes yourself. So yeah,
you've got to be in that right mindset, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Vivian, have we got any questions?
Hi, let me just check. There I don't see any question at the moment, but everyone definitely loving this interview today. Keely and Sally, you both have shared with us so much
Well,
value.
I
Can you
can't
hear me
hear you,
clearly?
Vivian. Can you hear
Can you
Vivian?
hear
Oh,
me now? Okay, sorry, I forgot to get this closer. So I don't see any question, but everyone was saying that they love this interview.
can you hear us, Al?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear it?
Oh no, I can't hear Vivian at all. Sorry.
Everyone's saying that they love the interview.
Awesome.
Is there any questions?
Yeah. I don't see any question at the moment, but then I would like to ask Kitty a question. So when she said that the Zen fuse for the kids, does what other options she is giving to the kids aside from she's mixing with what she mixed with the Zen fuse?
Keely, do you want me to repeat the question or can
Yeah,
you hear
can
it?
you repeat? Sorry, because I can't hear Vivian for some reason. Sorry.
That's okay.
Technology.
So Vivian's question to you, Keely, is you mentioned that you give your children the Zen fuse. What do you put in it other than the fuse?
Yeah, great. So a lot of people ask me this. They say, can kids have a protein shake? And they get a little worried about it. And absolutely, because it's a Zen Fuse is a whey protein, right? So it's actually like a form of dairy, essentially. So and other people always say, oh, can I have this if I don't eat dairy? And like I've got a lot of consumers who have it because there's not very much lactose at all in the product. So that's actually a really good point as well. So a lot of people that don't eat dairy, but they love the Zen Fuse, they don't have a problem with it at all. So it's not vegan. That's really important to note. It's not a plant-based protein. It's whey protein, which is really great to give you that fast acting hit of protein and also a slow release and keep you full for longer. And that's why it tastes so good as well. So often, and that's why the kids like it. So with my son, I would do a smoothie, and my girls, he loves, anything, any kind of fruit you can put with it. I do half a scoop if it's just for one kid, or if I'm doing a big one, I put like a bit over a scoop for all three of them. And I do anything from banana, anything frozen is amazing. So any frozen fruits, go down and just buy your frozen berries, frozen mango, frozen strawberries. And when I get bananas and they're going a bit brown, or you peel them and just put them in the freezer, cut them up and have them. And it makes it just so nice and cold and creamy. And I use almond milk a lot. The kids don't love almond milk on its own, but in a smoothie, it's really delicious. Or you can just use normal cow's milk as well. And the other thing I put in there sometimes is some peanut butter. So I think of what kind of carbohydrates and like fruit can I put in there. I also might put some spinach or some zucchini because you can't taste those things and I hide it. Anyone who's a parent knows that the key to being a good parent is hiding vegetables in food and meals. That is when you've made it as a parent and your kid eats it and they like it and you've hidden the vegetable. You're a winner.
And you sit in the corner giggling.
Yes. And you just love it. And also with any kind of nuts, I use like Brazil nuts or almonds, and I use or a bit of peanut butter. That tastes amazing. Bananas and vanilla fuse and peanut butter is like amazing with almond milk. And you just experiment to get the flavor that you like. Or you can do chocolate and you can add some raw cacao powder and some chia seeds. So there's so many things you can do. And let me tell you, as a teacher, this is one of the most nutritious breakfasts for your children to have before school, even if they have toast or cereal as well, but give them a little smoothie on the side because there's so much junk food when it comes to breakfast foods, I'm sorry to say, but Nutri-Grain and all that stuff, like it's pure sugar and it won't keep them full. So a Zen Fuse smoothie for your kids is like the best kind of breakfast you can do. Yeah.
And it's interesting, Keely, the program's educated me a lot. Not just for myself, but now, I'm more aware of the snacks that I provide my children. So, instead of just, opening a packet of chips, I'm more mindful. So, I'll cut an apple and add some peanut butter on the side and the kids love it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And it doesn't take long for your kids. No. And you can still give your kids, they can have all their treats and chocolates and that. But just have a think about putting some nuts or like you say, some apple and peanut butter with it. And because that's going to slow down the rate of digestion, and they're not going to come back to you in 30 minutes and say, I'm hungry, mum, because they're having some healthy fats with it as well. So when you do your celery and peanut butter, amazing snack for kids. Stuff like that. The unfortunate thing is you can't send anything with nuts to school here. I don't know if it's the same in for your kids. So that you just have to kind of deal with that a little bit. But at home, I find nuts, a great source. But I think the number one thing is that you help yourself to feel great and educate yourself. Don't try and change everyone in your family until you've helped yourself, and then you just start to slowly implement it, and it just happens, and then it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thanks, Jessie. Jessie's amazing. She's had such a great transformation. She's a big inspiration. So well done, Jessie.
She absolutely is.
Such a great idea. Can you hear me? I haven't speak anything until now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to say that it's such great ideas for the smoothie for the kid. I haven't tried it for the kids. My girls always wanted to have the smoothie, but I haven't let her try because I wanted to keep all for myself and for my husband. So now I can give her a try now.
Can you hear that, Keely?
I don't think so.
Okay, Vivian's just thanking you for the idea of the smoothie. She hasn't actually given it to her children yet. She's always kept it for herself, but she's very grateful for all your ideas, and she's gonna give it a go with her kids.
Yeah, and you don't have to, like, if you think about it, it's actually a very cost-effective snack as well, but it works out to be like $2.80, I think, for one whole scoop of Zen Fuse. So if you're doing half a scoop for your kids, like, it's actually a great cost-effective snack as well. That's the other thing about Zen Fuse, is that if you really break it down, it's and you're thinking about what else you're feeding them and what other snacks, and you look at other people who might buy coffees and buy all these things, you can very quickly justify as well having a healthy snack like that, as opposed to all of the other things you buy and other things at the shop. So that's something to think about as well.
Great. And the one thing is, it's so easy. We just put it in my Thermomix and blitz it, and that's it. So fast, early in the morning before school run.
Vivian's just saying it's great that it's so easy. She can quickly put it in the Thermomix, blast it, and off she goes.
Yeah, the Thermomix or the NutriBullet, they're just so quick, so easy. Even my husband, he has it every morning. He puts all sorts of random things in his smoothie as well with the Zen Fuse. He has like a raw egg, and if you're a bit more adventurous, and he has all kinds of like different barley powder and spirulina and all these random healthy things as well. But I just like to keep it a little more simple. But yeah, it's absolutely great for the whole family. Zen Fuse is a product for the whole family if you are conscious of creating those kind of smoothies as well, and also in porridge, and putting it into slices and baking. And if you want that bit of extra protein to keep your kids a bit more full for longer, then that I use it in all of that kind of stuff as well.
Thank you so much, Keely, for adding so much value to our group. We really do appreciate it. Before we close, Vivian, is there any questions?
No, I don't see any question. Just some thank you message from Jess again and from Diane.
Oh, fantastic. Vivian, have you got any last questions for Keely?
Not at the moment. I would like to say big thank you to her for coming online with us.
I'd like to say a big thank you to you for coming online, Keely.
No worries. And thank you so much for having me on. And if you want to have a look at any of the Zen resources, then I've got I have a YouTube channel, Keely Pedler, and you can access. I do a lot of Q&A with Mark McDonald, who created Zen as well, and you might be able to find any kind of info or resources that I like sharing there.
Thank you so much, Keely.
No worries. Happy Sunday.
Okay, we'll share it in the comments.
I'll share it.
Yeah.
Keely Pedler, is it?
Yeah, I'll share it as soon as we finish this live.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Keely.
No worries.
Thanks, Vivian.
Bye.
Bye. Bye for now. See you all next week.